Welcome back to Run, Jump, Stomp, a podcast about games because we needed another. You can find the show notes for this episode as well as other content at runjumpstomp.com. This is episode 20 for the week of June 23rd, 2015. I'm Bill, your host, and this week we'll be talking about the E3 attendance numbers. Speaking of E3, we've had some time to soak in the news, and we'll take another look at what was announced. Those stories and more on this episode of Run, Jump, Stomp. Thanks for listening. E3's been around for 2 decades. And in that time, it has always been a professional, I don't think professional is the word I'm looking for, an industry event where the only people who were really supposed to get in were the press and game developers, publishers, and console makers. Everybody else was supposed to watch from afar or read about it on blogs. This is the first year that E3 has allowed fans, that's somebody who's not writing for a website, somebody who just loves video games. And this is the first year that they've allowed those people to go to E3. And I think it's really helped them. Now, if we look at what E3 has been in the past, it's a little embarrassing, I would say. I don't know what years it was, but E3 has been associated with over-sexualizing women by having booth babes at gaming booths. So I'm Joe, video game maker, and I've got this cool game that I want to make sure that people see. So I hire some very pretty women, and I dress them in as little as possible, and have them try and get the attention of the nerds walking by. Now, when E3 was like that, I was embarrassed to be a gamer, because that kind of gave all of us a bad name. And we fast forward to this year's E3, and well, first off, before we fast forward, back then E3 had attendees close to 70,000 people, and there was a steady decline every year, but that's probably partially because at one point, and I don't remember the year that this happened, but at one point E3 said, nope, that's it. We're done with booth babes because it's embarrassing and it makes us look like a bunch of Neanderthals. And secondly, we don't need to have a show floor for people to wander around and look at stuff. So what we'll do instead is rent out a whole bunch of hotel rooms and just have the journalists walk around to make appointments with various developers to go to these different hotel rooms and see what games these developers want to show to the journalists. And you know what? That sounds like a great idea, but it didn't have that flash. It didn't have that that spectacle that people expected from E3. And a lot of people decided, you know what? I'm not going to go because it's just not as fun. Now, I don't think it had anything to do with the removal of the booth babes or whatever else was changed. I think it had to do with there wasn't a big presentation that people could refer to. And so because they didn't have these big presentations, it felt less like a competition and people kind of lost interest. Now, after, I think it was 2 years of that. I think it was 2007 and 2008, but I could be wrong. I might be remembering the years wrong. They got all the way down to, I think, 5,000 attendees. Then they brought it back to what it is now, which is, you know, Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and whoever else is going to make their big press conference and show everybody what they've been working on and what we can expect for the year. And I really like the way that E3 is now. The thing I like even more about E3 is, first off, they got rid of the sexism. At least it felt like. I mean, this year we had lots of women presenters. That's not something that's really happened in the past, especially with this whole Gamergate thing. And if you don't know about it, you can Google it and you'll find out probably more than you want to know. They pointed out to people that you got to stop treating women like objects and start, treating them like regular people, because that's what they are in this field, or none of them are going to work in this field. And I agree with that. And a lot of companies had not just a pretty face up there, but they had a woman presenter who is, like an executive at the company, or who is a game developer, who had something to do with the making of the game, not just somebody up there reading a script. At least that's what it felt like. It felt like these people were not up there just reading a script. It felt like they owned the information that they were presenting to us because they really knew it, not because they were reading a teleprompter. And I think that's great. Now, here we are today at 2014, and they had 50,000 attendees. Now, this is the first year that they've allowed fans to attend to E3. And like I said at the beginning, I really think that it's helped them. So the other thing that I think made E3 absolutely phenomenal this year, even better than last year, was because I could watch it live, either on YouTube or Twitch. At one point, I think I was watching the Nintendo World Championship. I'm not positive, but I think that's what I was watching at the time. And I'm watching it on my iPad, and I noticed the number of people who are also watching this. And it was 500,000 people were watching this live. And I just kind of said, hey, honey, I said to my wife, I go, take a look at this. There's 500,000 people watching this video game competition right now. That's fantastic. That means a lot of people who would normally get their E3 news filtered were watching it live. They were finding out firsthand from the presenters what was coming for them this year. And I think E3 2015 was absolutely fantastic. I think both Twitch and YouTube did a great job of putting this together in a way that was really easy for me to sit here in my house and watch the content that normally I would have to wait for somebody to type up. Like when Apple does an event and I want to find out what's going on with them, although recently they live streamed theirs as well. But usually I would watch things like a live blog where people are typing what the people up on stage are talking about. Being able to actually watch the presentation was great. And I really think that E3 moving forward is only going to get bigger from here. I didn't talk much about the Xbox presentation in my E3 episodes last week. The things that I rewatched, no, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I kind of scanned through them again. Thank you, Video on Demand. And the things that I noticed, the things that jumped out at me that I didn't talk about, or that I talked about wrong, was number one was Cuphead. Cuphead looks amazing. A very, very charming looking game. If you have not seen Cuphead, you gotta pause the show and go look it up right now. It looks awesome. Basically, you're playing a cartoon, and I saw it. E3 was not the first time that I've seen Cuphead. I've seen it somewhere else before, and I wasn't sure what platform it was going to be on, but they announced it for Xbox One at E3 last week. Now, Cuphead looks like you're playing an old Disney cartoon. like the really old Steamboat Willie era, but colorized versions of Mickey Mouse. It looks really fantastic. The animation is awesome, and I can't wait for Cuphead to come out. I hope it comes to more than just the Xbox One, because I'd like to get it for Steam, or a PS4, because I think I'm going to be getting a PS4. I'm not positive. Speaking of the PS4, last week I was wrong when I said that Rise of the Tomb Raider was coming to the PS4 first. It turns out that it is a timed exclusive for the Xbox One. But I'm sure it eventually will come to the PlayStation 4. This exclusivity crap I hate. I absolutely can't stand that some games are only available on one console because Microsoft or Sony went and gave the developer a bunch of money to say, you know what, only half our customers get to have this right. Half of your customers get to have this right now. The other half are going to have to wait. I just don't think that's cool. Especially because most of these games are made in an engine that is easily portable. So, like, a lot of them are made in Unity. And I'm no programmer, but I'm fairly certain that in Unity, if you want to cross-compile your code, it's not as big a deal as it used to be. Back to the Microsoft press conference. The backwards compatibility thing is a really big deal, I think, for a lot of gamers. It's not a big deal for me, but it's a big deal for a lot of gamers. And I think that's really going to be driving Xbox sales a lot. The other thing that they showed that I thought was important to talk about was HoloLens. Now, I didn't mention it before because I had missed that part of the demo. I'd seen HoloLens prior to this, but I didn't see it at E3. So apparently they showed Minecraft where you could project your game. They made a specific version of Minecraft for HoloLens where that you could project your game world onto the table. Actually, I do think I've talked about this before. Darn it. Well, if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. HoloLens, it doesn't seem like it's a virtual reality thing. Like, Valve has their virtual reality thing called Vive. Sony has Morpheus. Facebook has Oculus. And Xbox has HoloLens. But HoloLens is more about augmented reality than virtual reality. So I don't think that that's their solution. In fact, Microsoft and Facebook have gotten together to pair the Xbox One controller with the Oculus Rift. Now, which Xbox One controller? Now, I know that the regular one comes with it, but can you hook up the new $150? I mean, you're already spending who knows how much on an Oculus Rift. Why not spend another $150 to get yourself that Pro Xbox One controller so you can play those Xbox One games with it? That virtual reality thing, I'm not too sure about. In fact, I think it was GameSpot interviewed Reggie Fils-Aimé. He's the CEO of Nintendo of America. And he said, and I agree with him on this, he said that virtual reality is a really amazing technical achievement. And he's definitely right about that. Now, first off, Nintendo has tried to do their virtual reality stuff before with the Virtual Boy. And they failed miserably because the technology wasn't here yet. Now, the technology is here, but at the same time, I really don't want to wear a thing on my head to play a game. I haven't tried it yet, so maybe these games are good enough that it's worth it, but that's not how I want to play a game. It doesn't seem fun to me. But I could be wrong. He said that games should be fun and social. And, you know, I play single-player games. I play Minecraft Sky Factory 2 by myself a lot of the time. That's not a social experience. Would it be cool to have a headset on so that when I turn my head to look at something, that I can see a different thing just by turning my head? that might be cool, but then at the same time, if something's behind me, I still have to use the controls to turn around. I'm not going to be wandering around my house playing Minecraft. That's not going to work. So I just don't see virtual reality working in the traditional game sense. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it's something so amazing that it's a must-have, but I don't see that being the case. Speaking of Nintendo, Nintendo World Championships might be a regular event. Now, GameSpot was interviewing Reggie Fils-Aimé, and they asked him, are we going to see the Nintendo World Championships again? And he said, well, it might be a regular event. It might be something that we can do more often. If you do it one more time, that is more often, because 25 years apart is a long time to go between these championships. And I almost think that Nintendo would have been better off in the middle of their Nintendo World Championship, instead of having their digital event the next day, or was it the next day? Yeah, the next day. What I think that they should have done instead is show their Nintendo World Championship, and then between matches, show small videos that announce the games that are coming, especially because they had so little to announce this year. He also said that they had Zelda footage that was ready. I guess Shigeru Miyamoto was talking about this, and somebody then asked Reggie about it, and he said, yeah, we had Zelda footage ready, but they had just announced, just as a weird word, they had recently announced that Zelda was going to be delayed, and they just didn't want to pour salt in the wound. And I think that's I guess that's a good point. He said that it's still coming to the Wii U. I think he's just out and out lying. I don't think it's coming to the Wii U. Or if it is, it's not only coming to the Wii U, it's also going to be coming to the NX. The interviewer, who I actually didn't find out who it was, I'm sure the guy said his name, but I forgot. He asked Reggie what he thought of the state of the Wii U, and Reggie said that he thought they had a strong year coming. I could not disagree with them more. Most of the games that they announced at E3 were 3DS games, and I'm fine with that. I have a 3DS. I love my 3DS. But they have very little coming down the pipe for the Wii U. That Animal Crossing board game I'm not interested in, and I think very few people will actually be interested in that game. It's not an Animal Crossing game. It's a Mario Party game, and we just bought a Mario Party game like less than 6 months ago. He also then said that software drives hardware. I totally agree. But then he said, and we've got the support from third parties. No, you don't. You don't have the support from third parties. Right now, Nintendo, other than Ubisoft making Just Dance 2016, I don't see any other third-party games coming to the Wii U. They're the only ones supporting that platform. Now, they're doing a great job, but people want third-party games, and they're not going to get them. Not on the Wii U. There's a few coming to 3DS, but even then, the mobile space is starting to dry up. People are playing these games on portable devices less and less. And that's because of smartphones. I think there was one game announced for the Vita this year. And I think so the Vita's drying up, I think. And the 3DS might be the last portable from Nintendo, unless Nintendo does that crazy thing that some people are talking about, and I think I would love it if they did, but they make their home console a portable system. I'm not sure where they're going to go from this. Let's see. What else did he talk about? He said that on Amiibo, he said that they were very happy with how Amiibo were going. They sold over 10 million units. And then he acknowledged that people were irritated by how Nintendo is handling the Amiibo. He also said that they've done a great job fixing the problem. Those are not his exact words. I can't remember it, but that's the feeling that I got. He was like, we've really done a great job. We've sold over 1 million of the last wave of amiibos. That's great. What about the ones that came from waves 1, 2, 3, and 4? Or was it just 1, 2, and 3? I think we're up to wave 4. So what about waves 1 through 3? Maybe I would really like to get a Shulk amiibo to use with Xenoblade Chronicles on my 3DS, but I can't because it was a GameStop exclusive. They've got to stop partnering with these brick and mortar retailers because it's killing them. He was asked about the Skylanders style amiibo game. Basically, the interviewer wanted to know, are we going to see a Nintendo game that is focused on amiibo the way that... Oh, just a second. Pardon me, sorry about that. The way that Skylanders is, where you have to have the characters to play. He said that they've talked about it with their developers, but they don't have anything to announce at this time. If you want to see the whole interview, check out the link in the show notes. You can see that there. As far as Sony, the PS4, they've responded. I'm not going to go into Sony's whole presentation again, but they looked at the announcement from Microsoft about the Xbox One having backward compatibility with the 360. And they said, that surprised us. We're not sure if that's something that we can do with the PS4. But then again, the PS4 also has, or not the PS4, Sony also has that service that they bought. I forget the name of it, but it lets you stream games over the internet to your console. So I wonder if that's their solution. Now, Microsoft said, if you already own a game, we're not going to charge you for it. I wonder if Sony can make the PS4 detect that a disc for an old game is in a drive and then stream that game to the console over the internet. That would be really cool. It wouldn't require any hardware, and it would... Yeah, so you put in your disc for, I don't know, Uncharted 3 for the PS4, and the PS4 reads it and says, oh, okay, Uncharted 3, that's a PS3 game. Let me load that up from our servers wherever, and then we'll stream the game to you like OnLive did back, I don't know, before they went out of business. I think that would be really cool. I don't know if they're going to do it. I doubt that they will do it because I feel like Sony wants to charge you for Uncharted 3 again. I really like that Microsoft said that we're not going to charge you for games you already own to really put the pressure on PlayStation to do the right thing. Well, that's it for the E3 wrap-up. Let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll do the long play and wishlisted. Stick around. Okay, this week on the long play, I've got 2 games to talk about. The first one is Splatoon. I finally finished the single player of Splatoon, and I have got to say that was a very good experience. It was very, very fun. It really reminded me of Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube, which was one of my all-time favorite games. I wouldn't say a lot of people didn't like it, but it was so different from other Mario games that it kind of split everybody down the middle. I feel like that Splatoon started out as a sequel to Mario Sunshine, and they decided to throw that out and put new IP behind it. The final boss for Splatoon is one of the hardest and most technical fights I'd ever played in a single-player game. It incorporated every part or every mechanic from the single-player game, from the giant sponges to the zip lines to the Oh God, like a fire hydrant that's been knocked over with the water shooting up. I can't think of what they called it in the game, but using those as like a lift to a platform. It was really fun. I would play it again, except it was incredibly hard, and it took me, I don't even want to know how many tries, and the fight is like 15 or 20 minutes long, or maybe it's less, but it feels like it's about 15 or 20 minutes long, and it is fantastic. And and the music is good in it, the graphics are beautiful, they really know what they're doing with the Wii U to get it to really push beautiful graphics to a TV with such an underpowered system. And I say underpowered because it is underpowered compared to the Xbox One and PS4. So I finished Splatoon, and I don't apply number scores, but I would definitely say if you haven't played it, it's a short single-player campaign. But if you have Splatoon, definitely play the single-player campaign, and the multiplayer is just as fun. But the single-player campaign is way more fun than I expected it to be. I expected it to be okay, but it was way more than okay. It was really fun. Even if it was short, I'm okay with it being short. The other game that I wanted to talk about in the long play this week is Fallout Shelter. I did a full write-up on the website at runjumpstomp.com, and if you want to read that, go ahead. I'll just kind of summarize my overall thoughts of Fallout Shelter. I don't generally like time management games, and at first this game seemed like a time management game, but it's not. It is a resource management game, which is different. With time management games, you have to plant your crops or whatever, and then make sure that you respond as soon as you get the notification or the crops die. They do everything they can to make sure that you are in the game all the time. Because if you stop, then they know that the gameplay is not compelling enough to make you want to come back. So they need that notification to say, harvest your crops now, or they'll die and you'll lose all of your progress. Fallout Shelter doesn't do that to you. Fallout Shelter might give you a notification. It'll say, hey, one of your rooms is ready to give you whatever it is, maybe power or food or water or rad away. It's ready to give you that stuff. But if you don't go to it right away, it's not like you lose that stuff. The game waits for you, and that's really great. Another thing that these games do, and when I say these games, these time management games, I'm talking about games like Tiny Tower or Simpsons Tapped Out or Farmville, those kind of games, I don't really find them fun. I mean, I played Tiny Tower for a while, but that was mostly because of the multiplayer mechanic, it was weird. As you were playing it, you would build up this tower, and you could zoom out far enough, and you could see your friends' towers, and whoever had the higher tower was winning. So, like, my wife and I would always be in competition to see who could have the taller tower. Here's a hint. She won. She got she kept playing until she had 100 floors, and then she stopped. That was her goal. I don't think she was even having fun anymore. But eventually she stopped playing once she got 100 floors. I stopped long before that because I just didn't find the game to be all that fun. Now, the other thing that these games do that I don't like is, again, it's time management. So you have to make sure that you are maximizing your time. And one way to do that is to rush something. So let's say that you want to build a building in your game. And in your game, you click the button to build the building, and it says, all right, it's going to be done in 6 hours. But you can rush it now for 32 gems. Well, how much is a gem in real? Well, you get a gem either by playing for 1,000,000 hours, and you get like one. They always start out giving you lots of them at the beginning, but then after a while, they keep paring it back, so you're getting less and less. So what's the other way to get a gem? Well, you pay for them with real life money. And I'm sure that there's some kind of conversion where they figure, all right, well, instead of just saying, well, all right, it's 25 cents to rush this room. No, it's got to be gems, because you don't want to know what you're really spending. Everything that they're doing is trying to trick you into giving them money. Fallout Shelter doesn't do that. You want to rush your room? Sure. There is a risk and reward system. If you rush your room, you'll get stuff sooner. Great. If you rush your room, you'll get more stuff. Great. What's the drawback? Well, you got to pay money. Nope, that's not it. The drawback is there's a % chance to fail. All right, well, here's where you monetize it. I'm speaking as corporate shill. You could pay $1 to reduce the chance for it to fail. Fallout Shelter doesn't do that either. That would be a really good way for them to make money on this. You want to rush your room? Here, spend 99 cents. Spend 15 gems, whatever that's worth. I don't know. And with those 15 gems, we can reduce the chance of failure by 10%. That'd be a really good way for them to monetize their game. It wouldn't be a very pro-consumer way. It would be good for them because people are dumb and people will do it. No, the risk versus reward system is if you rush your room, you get a % chance to fail. Now, if you fail, something bad will happen to your dwellers. Maybe a fire will start. Maybe rad roaches will come up through the floor. Maybe you'll be attacked by bandits. But nothing that hurts your wallet. See, they're not trying to steal from you, which is what these other games pretty much are doing. Now, they're not really stealing. It just feels like they're stealing because they're a bunch of jerks about it. They're trying to trick you into giving them money. Fallout Shelter does not try and trick you into giving you money. So, first off, when they showed the game at E3, I rolled my eyes. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I fully expected to be disappointed, but I decided to take one for the team, and by the team I mean you, so I played a free game so you don't have to. So I guess that begs the question, should you play it? I mean, it's free, why not? I can't think of a reason not to. The game is absolutely fantastic. So let's start with presentation. The graphics are very, very charming. They look like everybody loves the way that, what's his name? I don't want to say Fallout Boy because then you think of the band. Is it Fallout Boy? Whatever. Everybody loves the way he looks. Like the art from that era is really cool. And that's why Fallout has always used that art because it's really cool. I'm not sure how they did it, but in addition to using that art style, when you are zooming in and out and looking at the different rooms in your Fallout Shelter, it almost looks 3D. Like there's some kind of perspective where I think everything is using a single point perspective, and as you slide the rooms around on your screen, they look like you almost feel like you're looking around corners and stuff. It's really cool. The sound is really great for the game. It's got like this old-timey radio mixed with the sound of Vault Life. It's very fun. It's a unique thing. I really like the cha-ching of earning some bottle caps in the game. So they've got really good presentation in this game. So the way that you play the game is you've got a vault with some people in it, and you've got to build them rooms, and then you have to employ them in the rooms that they're best suited for. So if you're very good at strength, you want to put them in a room that generates power because apparently that's based on strength. If you want them to, if they're really agile, you want to put them in the kitchen, apparently, because the kitchen is based on agility. Whatever, it's fine. It's really cool. You're managing where your people go, and the goal of the game, pardon me, the goal of the game is to make sure that your people are as happy as possible. So you want to have a high happiness. In order to do that, you've got to have them in the right place. You've got to have them fed. You've got to have power. And you can also build rooms to train their stats up so that they get better at things in order to produce more for you. So it's a continuing loop that just keeps going. Excuse me. So there's more to the game than I've really gone over. If you want to check out the my full review, go to runjumpstomp.com and read up on it. The too long didn't read is, should you try it? Yes. It's an absolute blast. It's got great graphics. The game really pops on the iPad screen. Sorry, Android, it's not there yet. And they're not going to try and nickel and dime you to death with in-app purchases. They also, the thing that I haven't mentioned is they do not even once ask you to post anything to Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus or Instagram or FriendFace or whatever other social networking platform that you might use. So I'm not going to be sending my buddy Craig a message on Fallout to, hey, make sure that you check my power station. Make sure you check out on my Wastelander guy. So I guess the best thing that I can say about it is that this game is fun, and it's increasing my hype for Fallout 4. So way to go, Bethesda. Okay, as time goes on, I'm sure that I'm going to add more games from this year's E3 to my wish list. The number one thing that I'm going to add to my wish list this week, though, is Horizon Zero Dawn. I talked about it a little last week. You can go back and check it out. I'll give you the really, really short summary. You play a woman who is in a tribe. She's a hunter with a bow and arrow. And her job is to go out and attack robot dinosaurs that were left behind by us, apparently, because it takes place in the future after most humans have been wiped out. And they don't know anything about us. All they know is that we disappeared, and they are all that's left. So, if you haven't seen anything on it, check it out. It looks fantastic. Now, the reason I couldn't put my finger on what appealed to me so much about this game. And I didn't actually realize it until it was about 10 minutes before I started recording the show. Because originally Zelda Triforce Heroes was going to be my wish listed, but then I realized why I wanted to play this game. It reminds me of a book. Now, I'm going to spoil the book in my review, but that's okay, because I don't remember the title of the book. Okay? I know it's kind of a weird idea, but when I was a kid, my dad always had stacks of sci-fi books laying around the house. And, you know, if I was bored and I was grounded from my video games, I would borrow one of his books and read it. And this one book, I wish I could remember the name of it. And if after I describe it, you know the name of it, please write in and tell me what it was called, because I think I'd like to read it again, because it was a cool book. And I'd like to read it as an adult now, and see if that changes my perception of the book. But here's the lowdown, or the rundown, or the run low, whatever it is, of this book. It takes place in there's a tribe, and the protagonist of the book is the next in line to succeed his father as the tribe leader. Now, in order to become tribe leader, you have to go on a journey, leave the tribe, and return. And one of the things in the book is they tell you you're not supposed to enter, I think they called it the sick lands, because everybody who enters there, or the dying lands, I think it was. Because everybody who enters it ends up dying, they get very, very sick and they die. So this guy is you leave with nothing, and you have to survive and come back, and then you can be the tribe elder when your father dies. So this guy goes on his journey, and he gets lost. And at one point, he ends up, he's ready to give up. He's out of food, and he's starving, and he decides, I'm going to go into the sick lands and see what I can find, because I haven't been able to find anything out here. Lots of stuff happens along the way. He gets attacked by monsters. I think he also runs into other people out there, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I was early teens when I read this book. It's a very old book. Well, he ends up going into, there's a city, like a whole city. Now, at the time when you're reading this, you're like, what? There's a city there? Because the whole time you're thinking that this took place in the past. And it isn't until you realize that he is walking down like Wall Street of New York City, and most of it's been destroyed from nuclear war, and there is fallout radiation that has been killing people, but he is able to make it through because it's been enough time. The last person that went from his tribe on this journey was his father, and that was like 30 or 40 years ago. So the fallout has finally gotten to a point where it's low enough that he can survive. And he goes into this city, New York City, and he's walking past and he sees like a sign that says Wall Street. And that's the moment when you realize where he is. And then he finds like food that's been canned. And he gets it open and he eats and he survives for a while there. And then he makes it back to his tribe. Now, that was one of those books that I read when I was a kid, and I wish I remembered the title because it's such a great book. It's incredibly fantastic. It was fantastically written, or at least my 12-year-old self thought it was fantastically written. And Horizon Zero Dawn reminds me of that. They don't know what happened before. All they know is what was told to them by their parents. And there are these ruins throughout the world, and they don't know what these ruins are from. The robot dinosaurs just adds in a whole extra fantastic level. So, Horizon Zero Dawn, added to the wish list. I guess when I do that, though, I have to add a PS4 to the wish list. I think that E3 2015 is the year that convinced me to buy a next-gen console. We'll see when that game comes out. Well, that's it for Run Jump Stomp this week. If you enjoyed, make sure that you subscribe on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. You could also do me a big favor. It'll help me move up the charts a little bit. And that is give a review on iTunes. The more reviews you get, the more visible your show becomes. And that'd be a really great way for you to support the show, is just review it on iTunes. Tell me what you think. If you want to be part of the show, you can get a hold of me at runjumpstomp@gmail.com. You can also call in a voicemail at 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. You can also find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Run Jump Stomp. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.